And welcome everyone to the Super Finals. So nice to have you here. And as ever, I have for the last time here with me, Miguel. Hi, Miguel. How are you doing?
Hi, Leon. Leon, really good to be back. Yeah, it's a bit sad that it's the last time, but at the same time, I'm happy that we're
Well, I'm
finally
super happy.
finding out.
I'm super happy about all the outcomes that we've had so far. For me, actually, I really like this also finals challenge. I think it was a really nice challenge. What are your thoughts on this finals?
Where to start? I mean, I'm really excited to see what comes after the evaluations. Like now that every team submitted, we have the evaluations. We know kind of between these three teams how they performed, but I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring next in the pitch. And I'm really happy that they had the pitch training on Friday to improve there. So really high expectations for these three teams from my side.
That is true.
Yeah,
I'm actually really excited to see their pitch and to see how it will go. But before we do that, maybe let's first kick off kind of these finals. And yeah, since this is the first time that we're doing this, we'll just have a really small introduction. I mean, first time we're doing this live to the public, we're going to have just a small introduction about what is World Data League and what are these finals. So let's kick off the session. So if we would describe ourselves in one sentence or what is World Data League, we would say that we are a data competition that brings together the best minds in data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to build long-lasting solutions for social-oriented problems. Well, what does this mean? Basically, that we get data scientists to compete together to help unlock the potential of AI in social-oriented problems. And how do we do that? Well, we kind of want this to be a win-win situation for everyone involved. And we bring together what we internally and externally as well call topic entities. Basically, any entity that might have a problem and or data. We bring also together data scientists to solve those problems, and then companies with a strong data science expertise to help with mentoring, judging, and even advising in general. And for this year, we actually chose the topic data-driven cities, as we saw a lot of opportunities connected with many open data initiatives. And also there's one UN sustainable goal that is related to this one as well, which is the 11th one. And we tried to have as many challenges as possible that are related to the sustainable goal. And so how did this edition go? Well, when we opened the applications, we had 305 applicants from all over the world, to be precise, actually from more than 40 countries, which was for us really amazing for first edition. And there we chose 50 teams to compete. Those teams also came a bit from all over the world. And to be more concrete, we had 34 different nationalities competing, coming from every single edge of the world, I would say. And those 50 teams during 2 months were solving a new challenge every 2 weeks. And after each challenge, a panel of jury, it was a completely technical jury, evaluated the solution based on technical criteria, but not only. They also looked at the business, if the participants understood the business part of the problem and also the product that they're trying to deliver. So not just really focus on technical, but a broader range of skills that all the data scientists should have. And all this accounted for 79 submissions of such challenges. And we had examples of challenges that were trying to predict the churn for public transportation, or perhaps identifying bad quality roads through images. And with all these submissions, we had this panel of jury that we said, and we took the top and we created a leaderboard. And from that leaderboard, we took the top 10 teams to come compete to what we call the finals. Now, we really wanted to have the finals in person somewhere, but unfortunately, as everyone already knows, nowadays it's not possible. So we had also those online. And this leads me to the next topic and why we are here, which is World Data League Finals. In these finals, we had 10 teams competing. As I said, the best teams from all those 50 teams that were solving challenges for 2 months. And this time they only had 60 hours to work on one challenge. And what was this challenge? Well, it was noise pollution. To be more concrete, we looked at how to improve the quality of life by reducing city noise levels. And one thing that many times you might hear, it's that about air pollution, and that it's really important for health reasons and other reasons and environmental reasons to reduce air pollution. But sometimes noise pollution doesn't get the same coverage. But even though noise pollution can also increase, for example, heart problems, hearing loss, stress, and many others. For example, it's been already proven that city noise levels can have an impact on the development of the children. So we focused on a very specific noise problem, which was a noise problem in the nightlife of a city. And in this case, it was the city of Torino. We were looking for 3 different outcomes, which one was to predict noise in recreational nightlife in Torino. 2, to check the feasibility, if it's possible to predict the complaints related to those noise levels. And then 3, suggest a framework of how these models can be integrated into the city's decision-making process. There was several data sets, and the city of Torino has an incredible open data portal, but there were several that were really important that we focused on, which was the presence of people in the region of in the neighborhood of San Salvario, the noise levels there, what businesses are there, weather data, and like I said, many others. And now, just before we really go into this pitch, I will pass the virtual mic to Miguel to explain a bit what did we end up at the end after these 60 hours.
Yeah, thanks, Leon. Great intro of the finals. Yeah, so we had so the leaderboard was announced this week. There was a total of 52 evaluations, which gives an average of 5.2 evaluations per submission. So this was done in order to avoid personal biases and really make sure that the submissions would get a fair look by everyone. So all teams can be rest assured that their submission was seen by a large number of people from diverse backgrounds, but following the same evaluation criteria. And all teams will be able to see a detailed description of their score on the platform today. So moving on, the leaderboard was announced this week, and it looked something like this. We would like to congratulate these 7 teams that performed brilliantly and produced really high quality work for this challenge. Even though these teams did not make it to the top 3 this time, you can still be extremely proud of your performance, guys. And I am certain that once your work is made public in the upcoming days, it will be very valuable for the city of Torino and even for other cities with similar challenges. So big congratulations to these 7 teams for making this far. And now we have our top 3 teams. And these are Children of Jupiter, Data Sloths, and Tech Moguls, whose score and rank we do not yet know. However, that will be decided today during the live pitches. I know they are already on the tip of their toes to start their pitches and meet our jury today. I also know that they had one-on-one sessions yesterday with Luis Alberto Simões, our pitch training specialist. And I know that their pitches are looking really top-notch. So I'm very excited to see what's coming. On the menu today, once we finish this opening session, we will have the 3 live pitches and respective Q&A sessions with our jury, our top 3 teams, and my esteemed co-host, Leon, running the show. After that, you guys can all pause and have a snack while our jury deliberates the final rank of the top 3 teams. And then when we'll come back, I will have the pleasure of announcing the winners of the WDL Finals. Now for evaluation. Each team will have 5 minutes to pitch and 14 minutes to answer questions from the jury. And the jury will be looking at 5 main criteria. Those are understanding of the problem, the usefulness of the solution, innovation and creativity, the impact on the city, and also the team's capability to communicate the solution. So Very, very, very interested to see what's coming out of these pitches and more importantly, the Q&A sessions. And what do these teams will win? Let's move on to the prizes. All teams that made it to the finals got €100 each. And some teams have also won stages during the league, which means €250 more per one stage. But now they're all competing for the final prize pool of €12,500. And the prize pool will be split like this. The third place will take 1,500. The second place will take 400, and the first place will take 700. These prizes will be announced on the second part of the live today, after the live pitch sessions. So be sure to come back after the break. And lastly, we have our partners, without whom the World Data League would never have been more than just a dream. I'd like to send a special thank you to Fundação Carlos Gulbenkian, Scale Up Porto, the Urban Co-Creation Data Lab, Siemens, Basecone, and OLX, who made significant contributions, not only financially, but also with their constant inputs and direct participation in the organization of the event. Big, big, big thank you. And we also want to shed the spotlight on the challenge in data providers, which ranged from local governments, where we had the cities of Cascais, Lisbon, and Porto from Portugal, Medellin from Colombia, and Torino from Italy. We had also companies like PSE, Open Weather, and Cycle AI, and lastly, research labs like UShift and Nova Cidade Urban Analytics. Without these institutions, there would be nothing for the teams to work on. And in reality, it's also for them that we created the World Data Leagues. They are the ones who have been solving these social impact problems before WDL even arrived. And so it's an honor for us to be able to help in our own way. Now, what will be the next steps for WDL, Leon? Tell us about it.
So as next steps, well, there's actually going to be two things. One, which is going to be immediate, all these solutions, and you can already find the solutions from the league already on our GitLab repository. And we'll also add all the solutions created during the finals there as well. So any of the solutions that is open under the MIT license, and anyone can use them and develop the idea further if they would like. And the second thing, we will focus after this finals finish on writing a white paper. And this is especially more directed towards the topic entities, where we will summarize the challenges that we looked at, which data was used, what were the interesting findings, what is possible to do with that data, and what still needs to be improved, or what kind of data needs to be collected in order to improve these solutions. Right before we go on and we get to the live pitches, because I know everyone's waiting for that, just a real quick shout out that you can always follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn. Feel free to use the hashtag if you want to comment on anything that you're seeing. And if you want to stay updated, also, of course, you can follow us on Twitter or LinkedIn, or you can do something even more interesting, which is subscribe on our website to the newsletter and know when the applications for the next World Data League open. That being said, this is the last slide on our presentation. So next up, we're going to have the live pitch and the questions and answers from the teams. Before we go to that, we just have one real quick video which introduces this topic, I think, in a very nice way. We'll play that and we'll get right back to you. back, everyone. So we already have children of Jupiter here. And before we get into their pitch, just again, they're going to have 5 minutes. They're going to present their pitch, and then I will quickly introduce the jury, and they will have some time for questions. Children of Jupiter, the floor is yours, and good luck.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Bruno, and this is Fabio. We're from Team Children of Jupiter. We'll now present our solution towards reducing noise pollution in Torino. So environmental noise is an often overlooked but important issue in today's cities. Torino's modernization has led to an increase in noise levels. Excessive noise may lead to improper rest during the night, which is unhealthy and contributes to a decreased focus during work or study hours. With our solution, we intend to first help cities understand the factors that cause excessive noise by analyzing the impact of factors such as weather or locations. Secondly, we intend to provide a way of predicting the days when noise levels may increase by creating a model to predict the sum number of peaks per day. Finally, we propose ideas and tips on how municipalities can use this solution to better solve this issue.
So what are the major factors that impact noise levels at Torino? Well, first, our analysis shows that rain and wind are associated to a decrease in noise peaks. However, noise tends to increase with the number of people in a particular area, such as roads filled with bars and restaurants. Moreover, some demographic groups generate more noise than others. For instance, males aged from 18 to 30 or interregional visitors tend to generate more noise. Finally, there is an overall increase of noise levels on leisure events, such as soccer games. However, the factors that impact the number of noise complaints are significantly different. Namely, our analysis shows that there is an association between noise complaints and areas with coffee shops, restaurants, and pubs. This ultimately shows the impact of recreational nightlife on noise pollution. Moreover, complaints also tend to be more frequent during weekdays, especially on Mondays. This can be explained by the fact that people work or study during these days and have a lower tolerance for higher noise levels. So how can we effectively predict high noise levels in order to adapt beforehand? Well, we have two factors. We use two factors. The first one is the history of noise levels, more specifically noise peaks or anomalies. The other one is the leisure score, which is related to the number of leisure events that occur at a given day, such as a soccer game day or a holiday. These will serve as inputs to our models in order to predict future noise levels and recognize patterns. Our first prediction model, called Serimax, uses a statistical approach to recognize weekly patterns in noise peaks. It achieves a good performance for short-term forecasting, as can be seen in this figure. Interestingly, our best model attributed low importance to the leisure score because for shorter periods of time, there are no common patterns related to leisure events such as holidays. Our second model is used for long-term forecasting, that is 365 days. More specifically, it is based on a convolutional neural network structure, and it better captures factors like data seasonality, as seen in this figure. Additionally, it is able to accurately capture the impact of leisure events on noise levels while providing explainable decisions for its predictions.
So based on our results and analysis, we highlight the following considerations. Knowing in advance when noise levels increase can lead to an earlier planning of resource allocation, such as police patrols and a more effective suppression of noise levels. Secondly, we could also set a schedule in which noise restriction laws would be more appropriate to be applied based on noise prediction. Applying these laws no longer than necessary would increase overall satisfaction of residents. Our model could also identify future problem areas based on district and on streets with bars, restaurants, and businesses. Within these areas, more restrictive laws could be activated, such as traffic flow restriction and a reinforcement of infrastructures to muffle noises, such as trees or humps. So the key takeaways from our analysis are noise sensitivity increases during workdays, and that the more people, the more noise, especially if there are leisure events. Our policy framework allows for an early detection of noise level increases in order to pre-plan and allocate resources to contain it, as well as a geographical and temporal identification over when and where to apply noise reduction policies, thus increasing overall resident satisfaction. Now, where to go from here? We think the next steps are, first, the datasets can be enhanced, such as the noise complaints, which could be enriched in several ways. The sensors could also be more spread out across districts in order to analyze data beyond one district. These improvements could lead to new analysis and new solutions to better mitigate this issue and achieve a more silent and peaceful city for everyone. So thank you everyone for watching.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Maybe let's get the jury panel on. You can also turn on your camera, and I will just real quickly present, because I think I didn't have that opportunity yet. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Stefan Verhulst. And for Stefan, if anyone looks at his curriculum, you might get a bit overwhelmed. Besides several things, he's the co-founder and chief Research and Development Officer of the New York University Governance Lab, aka GovLab, and it's an action research center focused on improving governance using advances in sciences and technology, which includes obviously solutions related to data. Verhulst's latest scholarship centers on how technology can impress people's lives by creating more effective and collaborative forms of governance. Hi, Stefan. How are you doing? Good morning. I think it's still quite early New York.
Good morning. It's a bright and sunny New York Saturday morning. Pleasure to be here and delighted to be part of this jury. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Enrico Gallo. He's an environmental engineer working for the Italian public administration for more than 15 years in urban sustainability, GIS analysis, and environmental acoustics. He is currently the manager of the environmental department of Torino and the co-chair of the working group Noise of Eurocities, which is the association of the major cities in Europe. Enrico's latest contributions are focused on adapting common noise indicators in the Green City Accord, which is the movement of European mayors committed to making cities cleaner and healthier, focusing on the health impact of noise at the urban level. And Enrico has also been involved in creating this challenge. Hi, Enrico. How are you doing?
Hi, everybody. Fine, thanks you. So, really excited.
Yeah. And last but not least, we have Jan Potter, who is an experienced noise consultant working in the broad fields of acoustics. He has a PhD in acoustics from the Technical University of Delft, and he's skilled in physics, acoustics, noise control, room acoustics, building acoustics, traffic noise, and engineering. So basically anything that has to do with noise and acoustics, he is the man to go to. Jan, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And great for being here. I'm really thrilled by the possibility to rank these solutions for real life problems that we are facing also here in Holland and over the rest of Europe, actually.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's start with the question. How it will go, it's that each jury will have one turn, so to say, per question, and then we'll go around, and then the order will kind of shuffle a bit. So let's, for this first time, just doing the order of the introduction. So maybe Stefan, if you have any first question for the children of Jupiter.
Sure. Thanks so much. And thanks for this presentation. Really interesting how you approached the problem. And I have a question mainly related with regard to the initial statement that you were also looking into the correlation between noise level and the originator of the noise itself. And so wondering if you are having your analysis and you see spikes in noise and or decreases in noise, wondering whether you could also anyway think about how anyway what was the root cause of the spike and the decline, and whether you had anyway with the tool that you have, whether it would be feasible for decision makers to at least discern what was behind the spike or the decline. So that's wondering whether your tool would allow the decision making to do so.
Yeah, so it rather depends on which factor we are considering. For instance, one of the factors that we noticed was the rain and the wind. And the argument that we sort of processed through behind these reason why wind and rain sort of decrease noise peaks is that during these hours, people tend to live less. So they go less to bars and restaurants and other places. Now, obviously, other factors like leisure events, it is expected that when you have a soccer game or you have a holiday, there's going to be more people joining together and talking to each other. So it is expected to have that we will have noise peaks. However, so this is mostly based on our analysis. It is not, so we don't really provide these arguments as a solution. We provide we provide a thought process behind these results, but we do not integrate these arguments behind our framework. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and a similar question with regard, because it seems like you have anyway a baseline kind of based upon past noise levels here, and wondering how you would then also use that baseline or future, of course, data analysis to then evaluate the policy options. Because, for instance, you mentioned this, or you make a suggestion with regard to allocation of resources, such as police resources, and then even, anyway, legal interventions. So wondering how your tool would allow to evaluate whether those interventions actually make a difference moving forward.
So I think the way the tool could be used is that if the tool is predicting that there are days in which it is less acceptable, days and hours in which it is less acceptable to have loud noise levels, our tool should be used to allocate more resources during that time. So we see that tomorrow at 10 o'clock, there will be an increase in noise levels, and it's a weekday. It is not acceptable to have an increase in noise levels. So with this knowledge, with this prior knowledge, we could allocate better police patrols to monitor the area. And because we are already pre-planning everything, we already have sort of a prediction of when noise levels will increase. We can better and easily establish patrols, when and where, what places need to be controlled. And this would also lead, because if we already know when and where the noise will likely take place, we can effectively control it. We can allocate more resources, which is in our which could be police patrolling to that area to better contain it. And these laws that restrict noise can also be very annoying in certain cases, such as during the day or during the weekend. But if our model predicts and estimates that noise will occur during a certain time, which is not acceptable, we apply the noise reduction law only during that time. And thus, everyone stays happy because the law is applied only to contain noise in times which is not acceptable to have a noise increase, and no longer than necessary because everyone else also needs to, during the weekends, go to bars, watch a soccer game. Noise is also a bit inevitable, but there are times in which people are more tolerant to it, and we also verify that happens mostly during weekends. So this is how we see our model being used to allocate resources and better prevent this issue.
Maybe we can go to the next jury, which is Enrico.
Yeah, thank you. My question is more focused on the compliant analysis and the correlation on the weekday, and which kind of elaboration did you did on semantic of compliance, and did you get any different groups or compliance, and how do you focus on leisure noise compliant and focus on Monday as the worst day. This is quite interesting for us.
Yeah, so the argument behind, our thought process behind these analyses of workdays and weekends is that during the workdays, there is an expectation to be working or to be studying, right? So while on weekdays, it is expected that people will sort of go out and go to leisure events and go to bars and go and basically socialize together. On Mondays, especially, people, because it's sort of the first workday, they might be more susceptible to these sort of noise changes, right? Because it's sort of their first workday. They are a little bit more grumpy, perhaps, and they don't have as high tolerance to sort of not complain about noise levels. While in the rest of the days, perhaps they sort of adapt more to that baseline and they complain less. But yeah, definitely during work days, there is a big spike in complaints. We also saw some other relations related to the geographic location of the complaint. These are mostly linked with coffee shops and bars and these sort of places that are linked basically with recreational nightlife. Unfortunately, we don't have precise data about the specific hour and minute in which the complaint was given. So we can't really say, okay, most of the complaints happen at night or during the day, but we do expect that most of them were generated from sort of a night time when most of the expectation about work days is to the next day all the people is going to be working. So yeah, that's sort of most of our analysis behind complaints.
Thank you. Any other question, Enrico, before we go to Jan?
Yes, about how do you fix the noise peak? Was based on legal limit or on the difference, and which kind of definition of noise peak did you fix in order to improve your model?
And perhaps you could help here.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, so you speak about the analysis of noise peaks. How do you define a noise peak?
Okay. So we use Z-score. Z-score is an algorithm that allows to detect what points does not fit. It's like what points are more fair, so we have some outliers, and we can detect those outliers by using Z-score, and we only use the positive outliers, not the negative, because those were only the peaks that we were concerned about. And then basically it was that our method to detect noise peaks.
So just to give a bit of a resume of what Anna's trying to say, we basically look at the average and the standard deviation of noise, and everything that falls outside of that standard deviation and is above the mean, then we consider that as a noise sort of anomaly or peak. That's how we define a noise peak in this context. And we mostly focus on determining or rather predicting these noise peaks rather than predicting all the noise levels, because we are not interested in low noise levels or average noise levels. We just want to know when can we expect high noise levels.
I think now we need to go to Jan. Thank you so much for your question, Enrico. Jan, fire away your question.
Okay, well, I have one interesting question. Is can the system also create kind of an alarm in the situation that you have not predicted the noise peak, but there is one?
Okay, so you mean that if our model does not predict a moment when there is a noise peak, but one actually happens,
yes.
If our model can somehow learn from it and improve upon it, is that your question?
Or will the system give also the lawmakers give some signal, hey, you have to do something right now,
okay.
because there's...
So in the way how we build this, I don't think, correct me from my group if I am saying anything wrong, but I don't think it can do that. If something happens that is not predicted, currently I believe our model will not give any alarm that, hey, there's a noise level peak, but we did not predict this, you need to act now. So yes, that is not taken into consideration.
We could use the outlier algorithm to detect. We could easily use it. We don't use in final model, but we could use.
Okay. Another question I have is, the measures you present now are very restrictive, I would say. Have you also thought about behavioral measures, like trying to influence the people that they do different things instead of making noise?
Okay, so that's a very interesting observation. Yes, it may sound off as a bit strict to apply a noise when we say, let's restrict number of people in establishments such as coffees, or let's please tell everyone to be quiet and having police patrols. Yes, it may sound a bit strict. That is an interesting observation. I don't think we have considered that that point. So in encouraging people to, instead of going to more, to do activities that would cause more noise, to engage in other activities that could decrease noise levels. In fact, we did not consider that, I believe so.
But yeah, we suggest a couple of policies that are non-intrusive, like adding a couple more trees to the city, or adding speed bumps. So these aren't as intrusive as the other ones, where it directly impacts the behavior of city visitors or tourists or nationals. But yeah, it definitely, most of our policies do apply directly to the people's behavior, and that's why we try to fine-tune these policies. So we try to specialize them in specific schedules and at specific geographic locations, so that they aren't as, let's say, impactful for people that aren't really producing noise.
Yes, in order to reduce this restrictiveness, only when we see that is imperative to reduce noise levels in times where noise peaks would not be ideal, such as work days and during nighttime, and that's our take on it.
Thank you very much, children of Jupiter. I think that this is all the time we have for the questions. Very nice speech as well. Thank you also for putting the effort into preparing it. Now we will go to a short commercial break for literally 1 minute, and we will be right back with data slots.
There used to be a time not so long ago where doing your admin was tough. Customers throwing bags and boxes full of invoices and receipts at their accountants, it was chaos. While the world around us became more digital, new challenges in the land of accounting arose. Challenges such as organizing the huge amount of documents coming from different sources in various formats. Yet somehow all of this data did seem to get perfectly organized. In an almost magical way, automatic and intelligent transactions being pushed in real time into financial systems like Twinfield, Xero, and Sage, as well as capturing receipts and expenses on the go, and staying in control with an outstanding workflow for approving invoices. Now, what made all this possible? What is their secret? Basecone. where accounting magic happens.
And welcome back, everyone. So now we're ready for the second pitch of the day, which is from the team Data Slots. Data Slots, the virtual, not podium, the virtual mic is yours. And go ahead, you have 5 minutes.
Hi, we are Data Slots, and we would like to show you the final challenge project. Okay. Improving the quality of life by reducing the city's noise levels, to build a model that can predict noise and peaks at night, to study the feasibility of predicting the complaints using noise level data, and the framework to integrate these models for decision-making and resource allocation. First of all, we look at the noise levels measured at several locations in the nightlife port of San Salvario, as shown here. Looking at the time series data, which ranges from 2016 to 2021 data, we can see also some missing data for C4 and C5 sensors. Looking further into the data, we wanted to understand the daily noise patterns for each day of the week. For example, here, the purple, gray, and red line show the weekend days, which have higher noise levels in comparison to the weekdays. Further, COVID restriction decreased the numbers of noise during the COVID restrictions, comparing the baseline of 2019 to the first lockdown, which showed a 20% nighttime reduction of noise. Further, events as other peak causes of noise, we're looking at football events, public holidays, and academic calendar events. Here we could see that football matches increased the noise by 5% and public holidays only just about by 2%. Looking further, more people cause more noise, and we can see that because during the weekend we have more people, but also more noise, as we saw previously. During the weekend, the most people are in the area are around 31 and 40 years old. Further, understanding the relationship between noise and weather is very insightful. For example, here we looked at rain, temperature, snow, and wind, and saw stronger correlations for temperature and wind, and lower correlations for rain and snow. So bringing all this together for our model to predict the hourly noise levels, we include our daytime-related features, the weather-related features, the COVID period features, the event-related features, which brings us to the target variable, hourly noise in decibels. Comparing different algorithms types and evaluating them based on their performance made the decision to use, for example, a random forest because they perform quite well. Further, prediction periods like pre-COVID and COVID period enables us to create the best possible outcome, the hourly noise prediction. Further, we studied the feasibility of using noise data to predict complaints. We saw that during the weekend, the complaints are actually lower, but the noise levels are higher. So here we suggest actually to include new features in the already existing app OP Noise, to log, for example, complaints, give feedbacks, so we can derive a people-driven solution which works well for the law enforcement, the people, and the businesses. Further, we want to include measures which are based, for example, on existing measures, for example, restricting the selling of alcohol after a certain hour, forbidding auto consumption of alcohol and outdoor restaurant activity after a certain time, but extending those measures, for example, giving grants to business owners to enable more inside space, as well as noise measure controls by business owners. We estimate that the noise reduction could be between 5 and 50% based on previous COVID measures. Further, we want to enable a traffic light system for our prediction, which ranges our prediction into 3 different categories: the low noise exposure, the amber noise exposure, and high noise exposure, so we can derive the right actions at the right time and improve our measures. This leads us to the social impact of noise reduction, which we can achieve with our solution. For example, improve the quality of life and people's well-being, saving money for the council because we probably not need to pay too much compensation to people because of the noise. Further, lower medical expenses to avoid the overload in the public health system. Thank you very much. We are Data Slots.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alex and Data Slots. So now we're going to the jury. So you can turn your cameras on. This time, perhaps we can start first with Jan. If you have any questions and you want to go first.
Well, I'm pretty overwhelmed with this presentation, so I have to think about some questions. Maybe
Okay,
someone
okay.
else.
Okay, we can go to the next person. Not a problem. Enrico, do you want to go?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to ask deeper focus on the estimation of compensation you mentioned about some euros as my first question, and which is your source information and which kind of approach do you use for this estimation? Thank you.
So it's actually not an estimation because there have been over the last couple of years in the city of Torino already a few law cases where the city of Torino had to pay out 1.2 million in compensation. So that's what it actually meant. So it's actually not an estimate from us. It's more like based on actually historical data and what previously happened for the residents. So that has been already paid out to the local residents in the area as well. If that answers the question.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well informed. Great. And my second question, if I can, again, about the analysis of people going in the nightlife. Did you notice some gender correlation about staying outdoor? Is the habit the same between male and female? And did you enter into these details?
We didn't enter in so many details, but we were checking that generally there are more males, but we didn't go further.
Okay, thank you. Hello.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Stefan, do you have perhaps any questions for
Yes, yes. I do have a set of questions with regard to the variables that you measured that showed a correlation between noise level and root cause. And it's actually the same question that I had to the first, I think, to one of the first presentation here. Of the variables that you measured that show a correlation with noise level, which of those variables can be manipulated? Because most of the solutions that you are proposing are variables that you have not measured whether there is a correlation. And I wonder, would you, anyway, which of the variables that where there is a correlation would you be able to manipulate, and which of those anyway, suggestions would address which of the variables? That's basically my question.
So in the model, we actually used, for example, weather-related variables where we measured the correlation between, for example, the temperature, snow, rain, as well as including the event-related variables, the COVID feature variables. So actually, all the variables represented in this analysis, we also, did some, correlation analysis and to understand, for example, the feature importance of those variables. But you had a different question. I'm not sure if I understood it correctly, but
no. The question is, if I would be a decision maker and I see those variables, right? So time, weather. I think I can't probably, as a policymaker, I cannot do much about the weather. But perhaps I can do something about the event, or I can do something about, anyway, I mean, COVID is again hard, but and so the question is, of those features, right, which ones can be manipulated by a decision maker, and how would you use that in your measurements moving forward and in your suggestions with regard to solutions? Because I don't see a connection between the variables here and what you suggest as solutions. Like, I don't see any suggestions with regard to events, for instance. And so I wonder whether you've looked at the data and said, look, these are manipulated, can be manipulated, and we can then measure whether the manipulation has an impact on the noise level.
Yes, so that makes sense. So for example, I mean, the event variables you mentioned, they can be manipulated. For example, I mean, when we look more on detail what we would decide as a decision makers. Probably would take like a use case, for example. Okay, let's focus maybe on the events instead of, you know, all the other variables, and say, okay, what would happen when we have an event on that day or that day? Obviously, we have some trends in the data, but I think to some certain extent, we needed to also do some kind of test and trial to see what works better than other things, and not just relying on the data. Because, for example, the last couple of years, I mean, we had the COVID events, you know, the COVID problems, so things are moving a bit differently. But if you would develop the model further, the decision maker could be possible, for example, to change those variables and say, okay, there's an event happening that day. The restaurants are opening during that night until that time, you know. So we could build a model, obviously, which is more flexible, but because of time constraints, we cannot build, you know, the final kind of solution for the decision makers. But there's definitely ways to include those kind of features and functionality in the solution.
May I add something as
Yep.
well? So one of the features that we studied was the COVID measures, and we studied in detail 9 different periods of the COVID restrictions, where each period has slightly different restriction levels. Can we jump to the slide number maybe 15 or 16? Because there we can see the effect of certain restriction on the noise level. So part of our conclusion actually is based on, for example, when we say the reduction based for 5 to 15%, that was based on what we found the delta to be for each of the range. I believe, I think, I don't have the information on top of my head, but there were a couple of them that relates to restriction of alcohol selling, and there's another one that's related to limit of outdoor consumption of food, and there's another one relating to curfew. So we use this as a basis in our proposal on the final reduction measures as well.
So some of the COVID measures we actually used to derive some of those measures we should suggest here. Sorry, I have to actually, and then to say, okay, if we would implement similar measures, then we might be able to use, you know, achieve this noise reduction. So that would be also maybe part of the functionality of the future model.
Right.
Yeah, so for the first two kind of relates to the features we use. So indirectly answer your question, but yeah, we understand what you mean. Given more time, we'll do a lot more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Jan, maybe perhaps you have any questions?
Yes, one thing. The data shows that in the days, Saturdays and Sunday, that people are more relaxed to noise than other days. So the experience, how people experience noise, is also important. Has the model also a way to use that for all the different days? That so if you have high noise levels on Saturday or Sunday, it's less important than it's on weekdays.
Yes. So one of the features is, for example, the day of the week as well, to predict the variable. But based on what we saw in the complaints, maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that people are not annoyed about the noise. They may be more accepting. So that's why we think that bringing everyone kind of together, maybe through a centralized, you know, like the app, which is already implemented, to understand, you know. Also, the other thing is that we see on Mondays there are higher complaints. Could that be because some of the complaints might be only logged on Monday? Is there some kind of tech, you know, like kind of administrative issue for that? So I think to answer that fully, I mean, we cannot say that on weekends people are less annoyed by noise. They might complain less. Could it be because of like administrative issues? But it doesn't necessarily mean people are less annoyed about noise. Maybe because of the law enforcement doesn't do anything on the weekend, so people don't care that much anymore to complain all the time, but it doesn't really solve the issue. So I think getting together maybe in a way, like if it's virtually or with an app, or, you know, to understand why do people are what they complained about, what's the issue on the weekend, I think could be quite a key or like insightful understanding of the problem. If that's, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, clear. Thank you.
Any other question from the jury? We still have a couple of minutes. Going one, going twice. Well, yes, go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much for the questions, and thank you also Data Slots for presenting. So now we're again going on a short break to the last pitch of the day. See you in a bit.
OLX Group is the world's fastest growing network of trading platforms, operating in more than 30 countries with more than 20 well-loved brands. We shape the future of trade to unlock the hidden value in everything. Every month, more than 300 million customers rely on our brands and our platforms to buy or sell a car, to find the perfect place to live, to sell things for cash they no longer need, to find a great job. We unlock value for businesses and entrepreneurs, helping them find customers. We unlock value within our company too. We invest in our people, listen to and include everyone, and empower our teams to innovate. We combine the spirit and agility of a startup with the strong backing of Prosus, one of the largest consumer internet groups in the world. And we're proud of our positive contribution to the planet, helping the world make best use of its limited resources through more efficient trade. We are more than 7,000 people unified by a single purpose. We shape the future of trade to unlock the hidden value in everything. We are OLX Group.
And welcome back, everyone. So now we have the final pitch of the day, which is from the team Tech Muggles. Again, you have 5 minutes, and the virtual mic is yours.
Hello, everyone. We are Tech Muggles, and we're going to present our project, improving the quality of life by reducing city noise levels. Every night, thousands of people are exposed to disturbing noises, causing environmental nuisance. Let's hear Tom's story. Tom is a healthcare professional that is having a long shift tomorrow and can't sleep due to the high level of noise near his house. Police and city halls are constantly trying to mitigate this situation. However, due to the large number of locations, it is difficult to maintain order with so few human resources. For finding solutions for this problem, we have access to noise data acquired in the city of Turin, as well as noise complaints from the police. Extra data sources considered were the weather conditions, legal noise limits in each region, and the number of surrounding businesses. The picture on the right shows the position of each noise sensor used in the problem. For helping the stakeholders better allocate their resources, using the provided data, we built an explainable model capable of predicting the probability of noise in the nightlife of Turin exceeding the legal limit and originating complaints. Our solution works by receiving the features described in the previous slide. Based on historically observed patterns, a model returns for each hour the probability of the noise exceeding the legal limit in the following day, as well as originating a complaint the next 2 days. Also, a text describing the most important features that drive this decision is also output to be sure that decisions are understandable by the stakeholders which are non-technical. So, how can Tom, our healthcare professional, have a better sleep quality? This model can easily be generalized to more locations and different timescales or to more sensors just by changing the inputs. And depending on the prediction window, we are changing the problem complexity, but also the impact it can have from a more local to a more global approach. With short windows, such as 1 hour or 24 hours, we help detect anomalies or optimize routes to the police. And with long-term windows, it's more challenging to create a model, but it can lead to more impactful use cases, such as scheduling or policymaking. In our case, we are focusing on predicting for the next day for optimizing police patrols. So how do we extract value from these combined models? we started by calculating what we called an annoyance score by multiplying our model scores by the average noise annoyance levels for Turin at night, which is a constant that we found in the literature. The reference is here below. And we can further aggregate our decision probability in order to create a measurement of the severity of the noise, since noise occurring for several hours is more annoying as sporadic noise that only occurs like for an hour and stops. So the final process, given the current night, generates the average annoyance score for the next night, as well as a text containing for each hour the most relevant features values in a human understandable way, as shown in the slides. For example, tomorrow is a holiday. Before doing a pilot, we would like to cooperate with the stakeholders to determine what is the best prediction time window, as we aren't aware of all the process running it, and have access to more complaint data in order to develop a better complaint prediction model. We suggest deploying the model using a cloud-based REST API that outputs the annoyance level for the next night. This is something that is easily integrated with the police system and creates no extra technical dependencies. So for measuring the model impact in real life, we would use the model and the current approach and determine which locations to patrol for the next night, like using a ranking based on the annoyance level or the threshold. After a few weeks, we will compare the model with the current approach, which is rule-based or ad hoc police patrols, also with some domain knowledge of the areas, and measure how the new decision impacted people's lives. As this plot shows, we have the different sensors in the columns and the different days in the rows. Each row represents one day where we have our target group or our control group, which is either the model or the police. And then Tom will be able to have a good night's sleep again. Thank you. We are Tech Moguls, and this is our team.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tech Moguls. And now we have some time for questions. Again, maybe this time we can start with Enrico.
Yeah, thank you. I'm wondering about your analysis on trend and predicting. Could you tell us something more about the result? How robust is your model? Could you add us something about the capability of predicting noise level due to this long time series?
Yeah, so we have two models. The first one is predicting the probability of the noise exceeding the limit in the following day. And this has a really good performance. Our ROC AUC, which is a metric that gives us how likely the model is at being good at determining hours that have noise compared to hours that don't have noise, is at 93%. Our complaint detection model is not doing as well. It has a 57% ROC AUC, which is the same metric used for ranking the locations that have noise compared to the ones that don't. But this is because we only have around 23 data points of complaints. And I'm assuming that since the pipeline is fully ready, after having more data or after looking at the data set and see if we filtered out some samples that could be relevant, this can be quite improved.
Thank you. And the second question is about the analysis of complaints again, and which kind of analysis of semantic, how did you distinguish the different kind of complaints, and did you get some strong geographic correlation on modeling the complaints data?
So since we only have around 20 data points for 3 years, I don't think I should take any conclusions regarding the geographical patterns. This is a plot that shows the most relevant features for the complaint prediction model, and it is focusing mostly on what is the current day, what is the current day of the week, what is the current month, how many surrounding businesses with food related are there, the wind levels. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of geographical patterns. But again, with this little data, I don't think it's good for me to take conclusions that will probably be overfitted to the data set.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe Jan?
Okay, I'm talking about complaints. Do you understand that if you want to implement a system like you are proposing, you need more data on complaints? And if so, what kind of format should these complaints have? So if any complaint is that, can you use any sort of complaint, or do you need a specific format to categorize it in a way?
Yeah, we don't necessarily need complaints, since this is the equation of our noise score. We can remove this term and check how the model is doing at predicting areas that are like risky of having people mad about it. This constant, which is the average noise and noise levels for Turin, should be a proxy for complaints. That's why we also added it there. But if we want complaint data, which is always a bit better than using average constants in literature, it is something that is personalized for each region, we will have it in the same format as we had before. So the police registered complaints, but preferably with the time that the complaints referred about, since the data set for some roles didn't have the time, and we don't know if the complaint was registered like on the next morning, but related with the previous night, or if the complaint is like a few weeks after. We don't know this exactly, which can also make our model behave poorly. But we can also have like citizen-made data acquisition, which is some crowdsourcing of complaint data, like the other team showed. People can send emails or something to instead of doing a formal complaint, and this can be used to train our model. It's like another alternative label.
Okay. Any other question, Jan?
Well, continuing this one, for our area, we have quite a nice complaint system, I would say. We have what's called the meldkamer, in which the complaints are received, and have all kinds of different categories in which you can indicate when you put your complaint. So you can say, I experience low noise, I experience bass, I experience children, for instance, stuff like that. Would that kind of information be useful for your model, or is that too complex for this time?
It would be useful, but not as is. So if people input the reasons that are causing the noise, we can use some natural language processing techniques that will actually let us know what are the major topics that are being talked about in the complaints. This is assuming we have a lot of data. And then we could correlate the reasons of noise and take directed actions towards solving them based on what people are writing in these emails or in these submission forms.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions. Let's go to Stefan, maybe.
Yeah, I go back to the similar kind of question with regard to correlation, and it seems like if you go to the last, which was a great, yeah, there we go, the pilot, which I liked a lot. So the assumption here is that anyway. So first of all, what informed your assumption that sending a patrol makes a difference? Because it seems like there's a lot of that kind of assumption that if you just send more police, you will have less noisy environments. And what's the, anyway, why did you come to that conclusion? So was that a data-driven conclusion, for instance?
Not directly data-driven, but literature-driven. So we saw in the literature that the police in the city of Turin, and maybe Enrico can correct me if I'm wrong, has already done some attempts at solving this, but I'm sure the city is very big, and today we have like 5 sensors concentrated in a small city, but so we don't have data regarding the actual route the police take, so this should be taken with a grain of salt. But over time, as more sensors are placed throughout the city, different hotspots for noise will be given. And I guess at that point, it will be a bit hard to determine which locations they should go to first. But based on the literature, we did see that there are some improvements with police going there. but not by brute force.
Is that what you propose here? Is to actually measure whether it makes a difference?
Yeah, we propose like using the model and the current approach in a like 3-4 months pilot, just to see if the new routing actually makes an impact. So we could measure our ground truth, which is the number, which is whether or not the noise exceeded the legal limit at that night, with the current approach, which is the police doing their regular routes, and with the model-based approach, which is a model saying you should visit this location tomorrow, you shouldn't visit this one, etc. And for those specific days, we can measure the numerical difference between the noise levels and see what is the actual decrease we had, or increase, I don't know.
Great. And also wondering, like with regard whether you looked into other variables, for instance, such as housing. Well, it was probably hard to measure location, as you already said, but I would be interested to see whether, for instance, if you would add their housing stock, by which I mean is it a location with old houses or new houses? Because, for instance, anyway, we have a lot of noise here in New York. Our solution was to just invest in better windows, right? Yeah. And so I would be interested to see, is it an area with old houses that have increased complaints because they just, anyway, cannot stop that, and whether that would be feasible with your model.
Yep, that makes sense. We didn't have that kind of data. The only thing we had was the legal limits in each area, which depends on how industrial that zone is. I guess it is kind of like a proxy, because more industrial zones are more developed. I know maybe I'm taking the wrong conclusions here, but we could feed that into a model as a feature, or even take that into account in the decision process, because new houses should have a lower priority in the patrolling, and old houses where people will be more noise and listen to the noise higher.
Thank you so much. We still have some time, so I don't know if Enrico, Jan, if you want to ask. Yeah.
If I may, Leon.
Sure. Yeah, of
Enrico.
Course.
No, Enrico, you go for it.
Okay, thank you. Did you notice any behavioral change analyzing the nights? Is the phenomenon the same along the night, correlating to the number of people and the presence, or did you notice some changes at the beginning of the night and the last part, and so on?
We didn't do that analysis, so the only thing we did was check our model performance in the day and in the night, and it seemed a bit better, like 1 percentage point better at night, which is good for us because we want to apply it at night. But I guess the base percentage of hours that exceeded the legal limit was something like 50% at night and 30% at day. I can quickly check that if I have time.
Maybe 1 or 2 minutes left.
Yeah, so here it is. 34% of the rows at day have exceed the legal limits, and at night 60%. So it's a more critical issue there, and it's even more important to know it's important to know which areas will have noise compared to the areas that will not have noise, which our model does well due to the performance of the raw KUC metric I mentioned before.
Thank you. Stefan.
Yes, Stefan, I think we still have 1 minute for your question.
Well, I mean, it seems like your main target is the police, but you started off with a particular persona. And I wonder, how would you help that persona with your model?
Yeah, so we can't directly help that persona. The only thing we can do is make an impact in the processes of our stakeholders, which are, in this case, is the police, that would visit that persona's location and take action there to reduce the noise.
Thank you so much. I think that's also more or less the time that we have. So first of all, I would like to thank now Tech Moguls, but then in general, since we're finishing now, all the three teams for presenting here today, and also for all the great and wonderful questions and answers, both from the jury and the teams. And now I think it's time for a short break. And then afterwards, we will know what is the decision of the jury. See you in a bit. And just before we leave, I just want to say, if whoever's watching us, we're just going to go to a really short video, which was actually created, so to say, by the participants. We asked the participants some time ago what would they like to learn from data science companies, and we reach out to our corporate partners and ask them, hey, we have these questions from the participants, would you mind answering them? And we compiled the video, so stay tuned now to watch this video, and we will get back to you in 15 minutes.
Okay, I think the certification of course is not that important. I think the knowledge that the person gained from them and how you expose these in interview, it's more important. For example, I know that someone that went through a PhD or postdoc has experience to organize a research topic, right? But if in the interview I don't see this knowledge on the person, the title doesn't mean much.
So in my opinion, certificates aren't useful per se themselves. So I think what is most useful is the knowledge you get from these courses. So let's say if we take AWS certificate, I think this is a good thing. And let's say you have a AWS certificate. Good. But if I'm a hiring manager, I will still check that you know AWS. I will not just blindly trust the certificate just because you have it. So the way I think about this is not that data science is that one role splits into multiple. The way I like to think about this is we have a team that works on data science projects. So in this team, to have a successful project, we need multiple roles.
Probably would be in significant areas like NLP, computer vision, network analysis, this kind of thing. I'm not that good on many things, so probably everyone gonna be a data scientist and earn like a specialist suffix. So if someone has a lot of experience, it would be like a senior data science, NLP, CV, a specialist, something like that. Okay, technical skills for me depends on the person's background, right? Data science is a very wild background position, so I won't ask for fundamentals on computer science if the person is graduated in math or economy. But it's for technical, it's nice to know everything about the basics of machine learning, like the models, the metric, the training and evaluation process, this kind of stuff. It's important. The programming skill is not, I don't think it's totally relevant because the background is very, very diverse. Regarding the soft skills, I think the most important one, the person should be a curious person that reads a lot, right? Because we have a lot of novelty every month, has articles, new packages, new tools to do stuff. So you need to know what is there. Even if you never worked with, you need to at least know that that thing exists. And always be humble and open to learn and teach others. I think it's a nice soft skill.
So when I think about technical skills, so for me, the most important one is coding skills. Python mostly, so we use Python. Some companies use R, but we use Python, so for me, Python is the most important skill, and also SQL. So we expect all data scientists to know how to query data. It doesn't have to be super advanced SQL, like maybe analysts would have more advanced skills when it comes to SQL, but data scientists at least need to know like how to join the data, how to proceed to group by things. So this is when it comes to technical. Then I think machine learning, I also would call it technical. So when it comes to machine learning, we have different models. So how these models work, how to actually use them, how to use scikit-learn, which contains implementations of these models. So what are regression problems, what are classification problems, so when to use which. So this is pretty important, I think, for data scientists. This communication is really crucial. So how do we make sure that we're solving the right problem? And this is often quite difficult, and it can result in a problem. Let's say you start building a model, so you invest a lot of time in this model, so you spend like maybe 3 months building this model, but then at the end, nobody wants to use this model. So this is a problem. And this happens quite often. And the main reason for that is miscommunication. So maybe you didn't make sure that this model is actually going to be useful.
Oh, I think this is the same one for all the companies, right? The data lake that everyone has, usually it's an incomplete data swamp. You have to have patience to figure out how to use the data that you have that is messy, and you will spend a lot of time preparing everything before actually deal with the data science problem. I think this is true to every single company nowadays. I think you need to study and keep up to date, right? And try to have a portfolio. Since you don't have a background, an experienced background, have a portfolio on Git or someone else like Kaggle or something like that. Don't worry about you don't know something. You don't need to know everything, right? University don't teach you everything. You learn working, most of them. And share your knowledge. So don't need to be fancy videos or blogs. Just write documents. If you in the knowledge base in your company, something like, just share your knowledge. Just make a person more accessible, and others will come to you to ask stuff. I think that's a nice thing for the people that are starting.
I'm not sure by young you mean somebody who doesn't have a job but want to get a job. So for this, if you don't have a job yet and you want to get a job in data science, I think what you should do is focus on projects. So you don't need to pick up course after course after course and learn all that. You probably don't need any course at all, just one, doesn't matter which one. But what is important is focusing on projects, and things like Words Data Leak I think is really great for your portfolio, because this is a project. It's not like somebody walked you through and said what to do. You did it on your own, and I think this is really important. So things like this are really great for your portfolio, and you should do more of them. So this is the advice I would give for those who want to transition to data science, want to get the first job in data science. Focus on projects, not courses. If you already have a job, then the advice I would give is be friends with your product manager.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm here again with the top 3 teams and our wonderful jury panel. Stefan, Enrico, and Jan have spent the break closed in a secret virtual room, deliberating over the verdict of these WDL finals. And we have a final answer, and that final answer is going to be given in a moment. I would like to first get some words from the jury panel, Stefan Verhulst, Enrico Gallo, and Jan Potter, and hear from each one of you regarding your thoughts about these live pitches, the top 3 teams' work. What did you guys thought? Stefan, I'll let you go first.
Great. Well, thanks so much to everyone and all the teams for sharing your wisdom and your findings. It was very interesting to hear Leon say at the beginning again what the objective was, which was referred to having the best minds focus on long-lasting solutions. And obviously we saw that that is true. And if cities would have access to the minds that were here present, I think many cities would be much better off. So congratulations to all of you. Especially, I think what you provided in all your presentations was the potential to use data to inform decisions. I think all of your presentations were extremely well developed as it relates to describing the problem and really showcasing to policymakers what's the variation of the problem so that actually there is some kind of actionable intelligence. It was also really good to be diagnostic, to show anyway what are the correlations between the problem and certain kinds of variables. And I liked how all of you really tried to go and identify some of those variables or features that explain the problem. And also, of course, turning that into prediction, I think that's really where the potential for intervention lies. Now, using all of that to then be prescriptive is, of course, a challenge. And I think you've all gone the extra mile to then show how can you use this data in order to then prescribe certain kinds of solutions. I think the other thing that Leon said was long-lasting solutions. And I think some of you really suggested solutions that might be interventions in the short term, but I think would have been good to perhaps also think about what would be more long-lasting, such as, for instance, also behavioral kind of interventions. But overall, I think it was a tremendous experience to be part of the jury, learn from all of you. And next time when I will be in the wonderful Torino, I expect Enrico to be much quieter than it was last time when I was there. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Enrico, I think it's fair to give you the next word to this little provocation from Stefan. I want to go next.
Yeah, we are working on this, and I will be inspired, of course, by the solution I've seen, and also by the white paper we are waiting for as Torino, but also as a Eurocities Association. I think they will have many ideas to be shared, to be tested, and to put in place in our cities in order to get better performance from the point of view of sustainability in long term. I really appreciate the different approaches. I think this is a complex problem, and so we need different visions, we need different approaches in order to have a better comprehension. And so I really have to say thank you to the different teams because they have different approaches and different analysis, and all can help cities in a better comprehension and making more interesting and valuable policies. And I also would like to thank all the World Data League staff because you give Eurocities a big opportunity, and you also show us great energy and competencies. So thank you very much for supporting us in this challenge.
Thank you very much to you, Enrico, for giving us this opportunity to have this challenge. Jan, final word from you.
Mikon?
I don't think
I forgot to unmute my mic. Sorry. Congratulations for all the teams for their presentations. They're very inspiring, and they also make very good predictions. So that's very nice for people like me who have to make decisions on this kind of data. Well, very many thanks to the teams for their insights and their great work.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for the words. I mean, I also want to mention how grateful we at WDL are of having you three, Stefan, Jan, and Enrico, here with us today. And honestly, for taking the challenge of evaluating and ranking these top 3 teams, which I know is not an easy it's not an easy task to do. So thank you very much. We're truly grateful to have had you here today. I will now announce. I will now announce the winners in a few minutes, but let's first take another look at how the finals leaderboard looks so far. Let's go. And now you've all seen the leaderboard, and I know you're all expecting the big moment now. So participants, teams, you can all turn those cameras on. We're going to have the announcement, the moment you've all been waiting for since March, the moment of truth, the moment where the quest to find the best data scientists by solving social-oriented problems will reach the end, the moment where we will find out who takes the crown of the first edition of the World Data League. I have all the participants here with me, children of Jupiter, data sloths, tech moguls, and I think I'll just go for it. I'll just announce. How are you guys feeling? Give me a thumbs up over there. Are you all excited? Yeah, all alive? No heart attacks yet? Okay, and I'll just go to it. The third place, we'll start with the third place. It goes to Children of Jupiter. Congratulations, guys. You have taken third place, and that means that you have just won 1,500 euros for the whole team. Congratulations, guys. Big congrats. And now we have the two last ones, the first place, the second place, data sloths or tech moguls. They've been biting each other since the beginning. The stages have been splitted between data sloths and tech moguls. I mean, it was, I didn't want to be the jury on this one. It was really, really hard. There was a debate between both of these teams, so there wasn't a consensus here, but we had to decide it. So I mean, it wasn't very easy to do, but let's just go for it. I will announce the first place. Okay, the first place, which means the title of winner of WDL, goes to Data Sloths. Congratulations, guys. Big congratulations. You have won the 7,000 euros. Tech moguls, you guys take the second place, but this does not mean that you guys were not capable by any means. You know, it's a ranking, you know, ranking problems in machine learning. Someone has to go first, second, and third. And I mean, what you guys did here was a great feat. And for that, you take 4,000 euros on this WDL edition. Data sloths, I will now steal 3 quick minutes from you for a quick interview. So are you guys there with me? Yes, you are. How are you guys feeling? What's the feeling?
It's great, overwhelming. I think it's just, yeah, quite a close race, wasn't it, from the start? And I think now the hard work pays off. And I mean, we all delivered great work, all the teams. And I think it's, you know, it's a collaboration. And sometimes I think it just gets very close. So yeah, I think it's just feeling very happy.
Yeah, you're mentioning collaboration, Alexander, and we were actually talking about it among the organization that we were really happy to see during the weekend, even in the finals where there, like, everyone is competing to a certain level, but it was really, really, really good to see teams helping each other. So not only mentors and challenge support, but it was awesome for us to see that level of collaboration between the teams.
Definitely. I think we had a few questions, and that everyone just jumped in and tried to answer those questions. I think it's just great, because I mean, you think it's a competition, but on the other side, helping each other and sharing knowledge, I think it's one of the biggest kind of, things to do. I mean, also, between people because we don't actually know loads of the people from the other teams as well, but growing together. I mean, in the end, we didn't do it for the money. I mean, we did it to, learn new skills and, improving our experience. So, I mean, we didn't say, okay, we do this for the 7,000 euros or 4,000 euros or 1,500 euros in the end. So it just, I think it's just overall a great experience. And I think my team members agree. I'm just always talking, don't I? But
yeah, I'd like to hear from the rest of the team. What do you say? What do you guys think?
We're surprised and happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you think of this challenge in the finals? What was your opinion about it? Harder, more interesting? What did you think?
Well, I think it's quite intense coming up with a solution in such a short time. Whereas previous challenges, we had 2 weeks, so we can go into details and prioritize our work and schedule it. This one is turn up the intensity much more. But the challenge itself was really interesting. There were so many things to explore, different data sets, and we were able to divide the work really well amongst the team. I think that's probably a key factor.
Okay. Okay. I found out that you guys actually are publishing, or you submitted a publication for a workshop following one of the submissions in one of the stages. How did that happen, and why did you decide to take that challenge? Because that was even extra work on top of the work that you already have to do.
Yeah, I think maybe someone else in our team can answer that.
Sure.
I was just saying, like Caroline and Sonia,
yes.
I think they have so great skill set, but they always a bit shy. So, if you
for the paper, actually, we thought that the work that we did about outdoor advertisement is really interesting, and we were really happy about that. And maybe this was the reason that we decided to submit that work to the social good workshop. And also, we like to work together. I told this from the beginning of this challenge, and we really enjoy that. And as Alex told, the 7,000 is not what we, expected or what we wanted to we didn't enter to this competition because of this. And what we achieve, our achievement is our friendship, our teamwork. I think these are more worthy than the value that we win right now, and we are happy for that.
Sonia, I think those are such beautiful words that I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to ask any further questions. Like I really think that you encapsulated the spirit that we wanted to produce with WDL, and I'm really, really, really happy that we've managed to also contaminate you guys with that feeling as well. So really, really, really good.
Yeah, really a special thanks from WDL,
yes,
because you really provide us this opportunity, and we are really happy to enter to this, grab this and continue, and now we are here.
Awesome. Yeah, I know I say this for the rest of the organization team. It's also a big thank you from us to you, Data Slots, because it was really fun to see how you guys evolved throughout the competition since March. And yeah, it just gives me a lot of happiness to see this moment now.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna stay professional here,
yes.
because you know that WDL is very professional. So yeah, I don't have there's not a lot else to say. I would just like to say some final words and some final acknowledgements and thank yous to a lot of people. So we're pretty much done. The World Data League has reached the end. And we have a lot of people to thank for this. So first off, we would like to thank the 50 teams who participated and worked for 2 months or even more. The challenges and data providers that gave us all this raw knowledge and all these different problems in data to work with. The corporate partners as well, the communities and the academia who helped us reach participants in all the corners of the world. Obviously, we'd like to thank our mentors that were always available to help the teams. It was really, really, really good to see this level of collaboration from external people that had nothing to win on WDL. And the same can be said about the jury members. So all the jury members that we had throughout the league phase, it was a lot of people involved. And obviously this special jury panel of today, who really brought it home and decided who was going to win. Last but not least, I want to thank my fellow organizers, the WDL organizing team, but I think they're actually here with me, so I'm not going to speak for them. Guys, show yourselves, show those beautiful faces. Let's see who we have here. There you go. There's Tammy, there's Maggie, there's Leon, there's Rui,
Hi.
there's Fabiana as well, but I don't see her on the stream. But she's here.
I'm here.
So guys, I won't speak for you. Let's go one by one and present ourselves a little bit. Say what the hell we were doing here. Why the hell did we decide to spend God knows how many hours per week doing this. I'll choose the first one, and then whoever talks chooses the next one, okay? So Fabiana, you go first.
Oh, Jesus, what a way to start. So I'm Fabiana. I was in charge of communication, a little bit of marketing, but I guess this was a growth journey for everyone and for me as well. So I learned a lot, and I had no idea what the data science was. I still don't, but now I want to.
Also, now you're a noise expert, right?
Yes, also a noise expert today. So I'm learning a lot, and I loved it. And it was really amazing to see the fair play between the teams. I was like very emotional all the time. So thank you all. It was amazing. And well, Rui, for the next one.
Thank you, Fabiana. Hello, everyone. My name is Rui. I'm one of the co-founders of WDL. And when Leon, Miguel, and I started to discuss this idea, I think it was March 2020, right, Leon and Miguel? So I didn't imagine that the result would be like that we have today. So I'm very astonished, I must say. I want to say a big thank you to everyone involved in this project. All the amazing teams and the dedication and motivation that have put in the solutions and the activities. It was really great to see the activities. Thank you, Tammy and Margarita, as well. The sponsors and partners and topic entities were fundamental to organize all of this. All the jury and mentors who were essential in the precious help they gave to the teams. Thank you very much. And last but not least, of course, as Miguel said, the staff behind the project. It's a great team, and I really appreciated organizing this video. And Leon, Miguel, João, Fabiana, Tami, Margarida, Celso, and David, it was a great pleasure. And let's make it happen more often. But now I think it's time to celebrate, right? Thank you very much. So the next, I would choose Margarida.
Hello, everyone. So I'm one of the community managers alongside my amazing partner, Tammy. When I started this project a few months ago, I had no idea how big this will be and how great people I would meet besides of our team. of course, the WDL team, which was amazing, all of you. But also the participants. I think me and Tammy were the ones who had more contact or more close contact with you. And I think I took some friends of the experience. It was amazing to know some of your background, some of your secrets, some of yours, I don't know, anything. Was really cool to be a part of a competition with a social impact as well. As my first time actually trying to contribute to something bigger than me. So it's really cool experience. I'm kind of sad today that it's ending. I don't think it's going to be the last edition. I hope so. And I hope to see some of the teams next edition as well. So thank you. And I will pass the word to Tammy now.
Thank you, Maggie. So I'm Tammy. I am one of the community managers. And yeah, here we are. This has been such an amazing journey. And as Maggie had said, you know, the two of us got to talk with a lot of you directly. There was engagement on Discord. We got to do the activities. As she mentioned, we got to hear some of your secrets, which was really fun. And it's just been such a pleasure to watch everyone evolve in this whole competition, where you were in the beginning and where you are now. And then we have these three amazing teams, and congratulations, you know, to everyone. You all have grown and shown your skill and your level. And it's just been such a pleasure to be a part of that. And I remember when I was approached to be a part of this team, and I learned about what the project was and what the competition was, I was like, absolutely, I need to be a part of this. So thank you to Leon and Miguel and Hui for bringing me along this amazing journey. And yeah, I can't wait for the next one. And thank you, everyone. Thank you to the team and to the juries and to everyone who participated. This has been such a pleasure, and I can't wait for the next one. And I think we have, is it Leon next?
Yeah, I think I'm the last one.
Yep. Last but not least.
Last but not least. Yeah, I think you already know me all too well, since I've been with you on these lives since the beginning of the WDL. But maybe what I want to say is, like, as Hui said, the idea came already from 2019, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even before. We already talked about this. And the execution started 2020, last year, around a year ago exactly. And I'm actually happy we got this far with this little experiment, which is not an experiment anymore, I think. And I really think that we got this far due to the hard work of the team that is behind it. And I think what we managed here to create, I mean, obviously all the solutions were really great. Everything we came up with, it's really good, and I really hope it will have impact. But especially, I think we've managed to create here a very solid basis for next year to come, so we can have even a bigger and stronger competition, but also, and this is really important, a sustainable and a scalable format in which we can take these best minds in data science and machine learning and AI and put them together working on this solution that could have social impact. And when we're talking about social impact, it doesn't in the future even need to be just cities, but could be anything with social impact. But I think I'm already spoiling too much what might come in the future. In any case, thank you for all the hard work from all the team. I think there's also two people here I'm missing. Celsor, our mighty designer, who created this amazing image of World Data League and all these colors. It was all his choices, so and really great. And João, our techie developer from Canada. So that's been interesting to work on different hours with him, but he created this amazing platform where you were doing your submissions and putting the videos and so on. So I think it's really important also to thank them as well. And with this, I think we're ready to close this live. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We hope to see you next year. Don't forget to follow. And one more person is missing. David. He also couldn't make the live, but he was in touch, not so much with the participants, but with all the mentors and jury. He gathered them, he advised them, he got their opinions, he got them on. Also, we had a small event for the mentors and jury. He organized that. He really did an amazing job there in terms of networking. Okay, and I think now we have everyone covered. Thank you so much. I hope to see everyone next year. And yeah, if you want to stay in touch, you already know LinkedIn, Twitter, or newsletter on our website. And See you next year. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.